have your own business, you should have a solid foundation of natural hairstyling technique. So that's number one. Hone your technique and knowledge. This means that you should have a good understanding of different hair texture and type and be able to work with them effectively. You have a strong client base. One of the most important indicators that you are ready, again, to start your own business is a loyal client base. If you have a steady stream of clients who trust your work and are willing to pay your service, you may be ready to take your next step. How did I build my client? You should ask me.
How did you?
That's a good question. How many years did I tell you I work at the bank? How many years do I own the salon? All right, we opened the salon in 2007. I work for the bank. I've worked for the bank since probably 2004. In all of this, I still went to school. Don't forget, I went to school. So was I working at the bank when I went to school?
Mm-hmm.
Was I building clients while I was working for the bank?
Yep.
Not really, because I had people that were working for me and they were stealing them.
Oh.
Don't forget, I wasn't there. I did not. Honestly, I didn't take over my salon till 2014. How many years different is that? 7 years. So in 7 years, all those clients were being taken away. People come here, they work for me, they steal. So not until I left my bank job in 2014 was my last day I worked for anybody in this country. I started building my clients. So I would say I started building clients really in 2014. My question for you is, how many years have I worked 2 jobs? How many years have I straight worked 2 jobs?
2 years.
7 years. I was building the business while working at the bank. I was going to school while working at the bank. So what was my main source of income until 2014?
The bank.
The bank. Why didn't I just say, you know what, I'm just going to do this business. I don't need this bank job. I'm going to go, no, I won't need it. I won't be able to go to school. I won't be able to do none of that. I won't be able to build a client because there will be no space. But I worked for the bank. Income I made here, I was able to pay. I was lucky enough that some of the money that we were making in the salon could pay the rent, but not a lot. Because me and Dora did never meet each other till 2012 was when Dora came and worked for me, 2012. So when Dora started working for me, things changed. Because I finally met somebody that was honest. She literally came in there to build the business with me. So you get lucky sometimes and find people that they just like, oh, you know what, I can grow here. And she saw what I wanted to do. And she was just proud of it. She was like, wow, okay, this young person is motivated and I'm going to stay with her. So not until 2012, that's when truly we started kind of keeping clients. But other than that, I was literally paying the fees for my salon with my bank job. And guess where my salon was? My first salon. My real first salon. Turn around. Right there.
Oh.
See how God works?
Yeah.
It's right behind you. 2909 Bryan Avenue was my first salon address.
Wow.
Right behind you.
What is this building?
Just the one you just pointed, that door. Yeah, 2920, 29, right there. Then I went right up the street. After me and Dora outgrew it, and we grew it into 3. We became 3 stylists, and we would do hair outside. That's my 4 stylists, because we would do hair outside, and I was like, okay, you guys gotta go. You're doing too much. Because we just outgrew the place. Because I finally connected with people that are willing to build it for me. And then we moved up the street. We stayed there for like 2 years. And then we moved right down the road on Lyndale into a big, it was a 9-station salon. And then I moved right up here. But that right there, the story, the point and round, it's 15 years. That just little what I just connected to you, 12 to 25. That little circle that I did, or whatever I did, and came back here. So every time I look out the window, I look out in grace. Because my journey is just in front of me. I can see it so plainly. And when I got that space, it was funny because, in 2009, when I took over the salon, we had the recession, 08, right? We had, no, recession of 2010, I think, 08 or 2008, right into 10. And in 2010, I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. It's just a money pit. It's taking my money. And I was sitting at work, and I was like, well, I'm not doing this business anymore. And there was somebody that sat next to me. I was like, why? You should just put your stuff in storage, and you shouldn't just give it up. It's your mom's. And I said, oh, you know what? I should not. Well, I don't know how to start. I don't know how to look for space. It was like, go on Craigslist. And I went on Craigslist, and why Lindale? I don't even know. I came from St. Paul. Oh, it was East Lake Street. So we moved to East Lake Street, and I was done. I literally packed up. I sold all my stuff to people, and I said, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm just going to take the money and just stay at the bank. And yeah, the gentleman was like, no, don't quit it. So I found that spot right there. So for me to now have a school, teach people, and just look out the window of when I started with one sink. Actually, didn't even have a sink, one chair. And I went to Sonny's, a big store that was there, and I dreamt for myself what I wanted to look like. And I built this short little counter. The space in there is smaller than the space here. That space that my first salon was like about 120 square feet. And I dreamt what I want a salon to be like. And I moved there, and I'm here today, 15 years later, with a lot of stories to tell, but I didn't give up. I just keep growing and keep evolving and keep thinking, what is the next thing? What is that next thing? Yesterday, what is my next thing was what I was asking myself. I want to, I'm working in the process of doing bigger things, right? But what does that bigger thing means for me? Because it's never about me. It was always about people. But what is that thing for those people that I'm trying to do it for? So you got to keep that in mind. So the point is, I didn't quit my job. I kept building and building. So you have to do this strategically. You have to, every time I tell her, you got to bring clients in, she's looking at me like, oh, why are if you don't build it up, find another job. This is not an industry where you walk around thinking somebody's going to do it for you. No, that's not a hairstylist. You got to find a job. The job's got to, and that's why I knew Azib was going to be, man, nope. When she was in my salon, she was bringing clients in. I had to have a conversation with her like, girlfriend, you're conflicting with my money because you're steadily making your own money. And when I told her to leave, it was on a good term because I realized she needed to grow. Because she would literally be booked. She walked in my salon, not a boot rental, but she would literally be booked because she was just so skilled and so good at, she was so desperate to find her home. She wasn't sitting on what I can give her. So the salon wouldn't be busy, but she will have 2-3 clients. So when I told her, I said, hey, you know what? Because when I book clients for her, it would instead becoming a conflict. So she would choose, because she was making more money on her own client than the salon client, right? So she would choose that client over mine. Can you blame her? No! 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 No, 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 no. No. That was actually a smart idea, but in the wrong place, because that wasn't the agreement when I hired her. That wasn't the agreement. You can't walk in somebody else's salon and leave the job that you're supposed to do. But strategically, that was the smartest idea for her. So now, she's doing good. She's doing big things, like I expected her to. So I keep that in mind, that you're gonna have to build those clients. Nobody's gonna do it for you. And you're going to be as big as you think or as little as you think. It's on you. All right, so have a solid business plan. Your business plan, the good thing is, while you are in school here, we will work on your business plan. What a business plan should look at. We've integrated AI into our schooling, so it will be easy for you to come up with those business plans. So that's why some of the things that you've created, I said, don't throw them away like a consultation checklist. All those we're going to bring back during business week, but you need to have a solid business plan. A business plan is a roadmap for your business. It should include your goals, your target market, financial projection, your marketing strategy. If you have a well-developed business plan, you are more likely to succeed in your venture. You need a business plan. A business is not something that, again, I adopted my business. I took it over from somebody. I was in a meeting one time and somebody asked me, so how do you guys schedule your appointment? I said, we don't. That's when we didn't have a scheduled book. We didn't have anything to book. And I said, oh, we just take people. He said, so you wake up and go to work and people just come in? That man worked at Wells Fargo. He looked at me like, so you just go and they come. You have no time, no schedule, nothing of how your business moves. I said, no, we don't need it. In this industry, you don't need it. And he looks at me and says, young lady, you go get yourself a schedule. Why is it important to have a schedule? Why?
So you can be organized.
And so what? Organization is one thing, but what? Does a business plan or having a business, an idea of where it tells you where you're going. Mm-hmm. You're not just moving aimlessly. That was what I was doing before. Just moving aimlessly. It's okay to not have work on your schedule. If you don't have work on your schedule, what should you be doing? What should you be doing?
Doing stuff in the salon. Finding work. Finding work.
Finding work or train yourself. Training doesn't have to be just skill. Mental training. Most of the time when I'm not working, what am I doing? I'm sitting there. Do you know what I'm doing on my computer? You don't know. Sometimes I'm developing stuff. After time, I'm actually developing stuff. It will be nothing that I just sit. What did I do last on Saturday when Zeal came and did help me? We did product, but we've been doing the product, but we haven't put it. I just know not to move aimlessly. So I sat there and I developed all what we need. So if I die today and somebody go into if I die, listen, if you can get into my office as fast as you can, you will be rich. I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you. Because I am a very systemic person. I don't just move to move. I move systemically. And my daughter's like, you don't need that. I'm like, just leave me alone. We can't just do stuff to do stuff. You have to do stuff systemically. So that's how you're going to have to. And it took me a lot of years to finally understand how business works. I think I finally have an understanding how business works. Business is not something we just go. Even how much your money coming in, money going out, all of that needs to be in a systemic way. How you're writing checks, it needs to be in a systemic way. How you do your taxes, they all need to be in a systemic way. If not, you're going to find out you're doing things and they're just not adding up because you are not measuring. So it's important to have a measure, and your business plan is really your measure. Sometimes you write business plan. Business plan can be very daunting. I actually have a business plan that I don't go back into. I paid $1,200 to write a business plan. How many times have I taken that business plan to review? No. So I told my business analyst, I said, you know what, do me a favor. Write the business plan, but I need you to send me a business strategy. The strategic plan in that business plan is really what matters to me. All the other jargons only matters to the bank that wants to give me money or investors that want to join me. But the strategy that I told them that I'm going to use to build the business, it should be what I should be planning on. I should know that at the back of my hand. So as you write your business plan, your strategy, so you can be smart enough by, if you decide to use ChatGPT or you decide to handwrite it, try to have a strategic plan set aside for yourself. That strategic plan is in your business plan, but make sure you try to carve it out so that way you can have something that is not stressful to read, and easy to follow for yourself. Make sense? All right. So you will have a financial resources to start and sustain your business. Starting a natural hair salon requires capital. It is important that you have a sufficient fund to cover startup costs and sustain the business while it became profitable. You will be willing to learn and adapt. If you want to start your own business, you will need to constantly learn and adapt to the changing market condition. If you're willing to learn and adapt to new challenges, you may be ready to start your own business as a natural hairstylist. Overall, starting your own natural hair salon requires a combination of technical, business, and entrepreneurial skill. By assessing your experience, skill, resources, and willingness to learn, you can determine if you are ready to take on an exciting challenge. All right, how do you save for your business? Let's ask, how much money do you think you need to start a natural hair salon?
To start a salon?
To start a natural hair salon, how much money do you think you need? In today's market, how much money do you think you need to start a natural hair salon? 15 to 20,000? Okay, next person.
5,000 to 10,000.
5 to 10.
I just say you need a good business plan. I'll do like the way you do. Get a job, maybe funding.
But how much do you think you need?
Okay. I'll say at least 10,000.
There's no wrong answer. So you said 10K, just 10K, right? To start. So we're going to pick your starting amount. If I tell you that you could open up a salon, a dryer, a sink, are we talking about also paying rent out of this?
Yes.
You're gonna pay rent out of this? None of you is gonna own anything. Which landlord is gonna rent to you? Starting the business doesn't mean that you have to rent the place, because if you're gonna rent the place, you at least, this should be your rent right here. Okay, everybody bring out your phone. Let's say you're renting a boot, right? At one of those beautiful Charlotte salons, you're by yourself, and you're paying, let's say you get a cheaper deal at $175 a week. Times 175 times 4, and times 52 weeks. 52.
36.
That's how much rent is. So I'm not asking you for at 175. Okay? Because it's going to be 175 a week. And that's if you're renting a chair or if you're renting a space. Most chairs are like 190, 200. You know, you walk in a higher end salon, 250. Now, people have gotten they've gotten smart. Some people, if it's a salon that is not really moving, they'll say, I'll pay 25 a week. I've seen it before where students will say, I found a place for 25 a week. No, a day. Anytime I need it, I pay 25, or somebody say 50. But let's bring it down to professional numbers, right? So I'm not asking you for rent, because ideally I would pray to God that you're smart enough to either find a place where you can work on a commission base for like a year or two, or you can find a place where you can rent, and then you can be smart, because even a couple of people that I've known, they've paid like $800 a month for rent. It's not okay. So, but let's go back to starting a salon with just buying your inventory, buying your chairs, buying everything. You could get away with at least $3,500 to $5,000, depending on how frugal and how smart you are. $3,500 would be you're doing a lot of Facebook market, buying all your stuff, used stuff, right? Nobody cares if it's new. All of the stuff. If you look behind you, any of this, this pink thing right there, those used to be my shelf. This used to be where I kept my towels, my combs, my chair. I've always bought used, except when we opened them, we bought new stuff. All the furnitures in here were new, and I regret that I even spent $25,000 on the furniture sets. because I didn't have to. This were even worse than the ones that we had before that were used, because there are a lot of salon closing. So be very smart, shop around, go Facebook Market. Somebody wants to throw it away and you think that you might be able to use it for 1 year, because nobody is going to know that it's used. Only you know that, right? But I've always been good at aesthetic. Do you guys think that this salon is put together properly? That's one thing that I've always been good at. My home is the same way. I've always been good at putting stuff together, and I hate clutter. So because I hate clutter, I actually tend to buy. I could buy a lot, but I say I'll buy less because I don't want too much stuff everywhere, right? So, and I like color, there's so many ways I can bring color into a room. Either I use a plant, either I use just one picture, something that people can look. I show my walk. So with $3,500, you can keep a salon open. That's tax return right there. You open up your business, and then what pays your rent is not you. What pays your rent is the business you're bringing in. Because your business from the start, if you once you tell yourself, I'm ready to open Yaya's natural hair salon, you need to know that you can have clients that every salon that I've moved from there to here, the day we are doing construction, believe it or not, we're doing hair. The day you hear there's money coming in. I don't stop. I would never put a sign that says construction happening, no business. What you mean? No. Business come in, right? Because your business should be floating, should pay those bills. So you just have to worry about, how do I start? So the smartest way is you start in a place that helps you save as much money. There's nothing wrong by the time somebody says, are you ready to do your business? And you're like, here's $50,000. But people are so behind. I wouldn't say slow. They are so hungry, and everybody wants to have their own. Who cares if anybody is looking for my business? It's hard to find. Do you know how big my business sign is? Right there. Does that look like I really care? No. It's so small, so dismal. My computer is where all the business is being generated from. And my phone. But that sign is so small. Now the school is new, so I can give it all the attention it needs. So I decided to make a sign. But ideally, I'm not worried. I've been in business too long. As a matter of fact, if somebody asks me, what do you do? I find it difficult to start running my mouth. Oh, I'm a business owner. I just say, I do hair for a living, and shake your hand, and if it's somebody that is require my conversation, then I'll go down and deep and tell you how passionate I am. But I'm saying that a lot of people are so ready to, I'm a business owner, and they don't have anything. They don't even know anything. And they waste so much money. So be very smart, be very frugal. Know every single dollar is a machine. Every single dollar is a work machine. It's not supposed to be thrown away. So get smart. It took me many years before I could afford. This chair cost, I have the receipt, almost $600 for a chair. This China looking chair that I dislike so much. That dryer right there is about if you want to buy it now, it's even insane. I bought that dryer, I was smart enough to buy it, and I don't know, she didn't give me a chair. Just the dryer itself was $475. Now, if I want to buy that dryer and the chair is like almost $1,500. So everything is skyrocket, right? So you got to ask yourself, I need a dryer. I need a steamer. How can I get those things? How can I be smart enough so I don't have to pay, so I can make from this $15K, I can bring it down. And can I even bring it even as down as I can? Yes. So you got to start thinking and move strategically, financially for yourself. Does it make sense? So I can truly tell you, you can either spend this amount or even a little lower, but I don't think any lower, because the things are expensive now, because you're going to need to buy hair, right? You need to buy small hair that you're going to put on the side, or you can maybe for the first 6 months, people go to 7 Mile and buy the hair, so you can stack up enough money to buy hair from those vendors, right? So yeah. Make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So now also be willing to learn, be willing to adapt. Adaptation is so important. You have to change, you have to morph. If they say people are doing butterfly hairstyle, okay, you want to learn the name. You want to learn where the, where is the business. Today, the question I'm going to ask ChatGPT later at night is, where are we going? Where's the mega trend going? I'm thinking of today, believe it or not. I'm a person that thinks 2025. Maybe that's why I don't know the dates, because my brain is 2050. What's happening in 2050? Where is the style going? I probably wouldn't have this school if I wasn't thinking future hand. What's the future? What's future for my industry? And I knew future for this industry was everything, including hair, food, clothing, soap, name it, was going more holistic, was more like new, earthy, right? What else was the word? Clean, sustainable. They started that trend like, I would say 8 years ago, right? Or even 10. The lamp you use in your house, LED, I knew that people were seeking something more green, something more natural. So I started having conversations about natural hair care school, natural hair care salons. In Minnesota here, we still don't have enough natural hair salon. If you put on your phone and Google natural hair salon, only few truly come out. And in those natural hair care space, there are still chemicals being done. Right? Nobody completely have a green center for hair, like a green space that just is green. There's no chemicals in there. So what's the future of our industry? Since everybody is moving towards green, could we start thinking green for our salon? Can we start embedding all these green ideas into our business plan? So don't, if you get stuck in just what you know, you will die. That's it. You die the moment you think that, oh, what I know is all I know. You're dead. So don't die on me. All right, so the next one is going to be solo proprietorship, partnership, and corporation. So we're going to start talking about business structures now. So the deal is you might end up forgetting, but you won't forget, because as you grow, when I first started my business, I was a solo proprietorship. It's called solopreneur. All right, then with my salon business, I've never been a partnership. And I've never thought of being a partnership because I've always technically had partners. Anybody that work with me, ever work for me. I don't care for you to work for me. I'm not your boss. We work together, right? So I've always felt like I've always had partners. I can't do it by myself. I've built the business to where I get more clients than my hands can handle because I only have 2 hands, right? So I've shifted to corporation. It's called. So I shifted to corporation. Actually, before I shifted to corporation, I was here, I was an LLC before I shifted to corporation. So I've gone from here to here to here. So we're going to watch a quick video and then I'm going to explain why I went from here, what happens here, to when I was here, to when I was here. And you have to decide during business week, you have to decide what kind of business incorporation do you want for yourself. And you have to think of that very smart. Why do you think that's important? Why?
For legal reasons.
Legal reasons, but what is the most important thing?
To protect yourself.
Not really.
Because one person cannot do this work.
Nope, not really. What do you have apart from you? Let's see. Apart from brushing your teeth, wearing your clothes, and paying your rent, what do you hold money to? Everybody in this country holds money to. Which part of the government? IRS. You haven't even paid them yet, but you know them already. Good for you. The IRS. They give you that EIN. What do you think gives you Social Security card? What do you think the whole purpose of when they birth you, they give you a sign, a letter, or whatever number, we get a number to our name, right? Why do you think they give us that? For the tax guy, Mr. Bob, right? Mr. Bob never escapes every single month. You work a job, Mr. Bob is always there. An imaginary guy that gets paid regardless. That is why, for tax purposes. Tax purposes. So we're gonna watch this video and we're going to talk about it real fast, okay? And I love this video too. Matter of fact, I love every video with this business.
The three things that you want to ask yourself with any business structure is how are you going to be paid, how are you going to be taxed, and what are you liable for? So when you are a sole proprietor, the way you're paid is by taking withdrawals out of your bank account. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the benefits of an LLC. And I got this question asked to me because I think someone left in the comments on a previous episode just asking like, hey, I'm a barber and I hear a lot about the benefits of, or I hear a lot of people saying that I should be an LLC. Currently, he is a sole proprietor, and he's just wondering what are the benefits of having this LLC. And I feel like people think about business structures really in two different phases of their business. When they are starting the business and then when they're growing and they're trying to figure out if that structure still makes sense. So I feel like whenever you're thinking about a business structure, you really want to just keep three things in mind. You want to keep in mind how you want to be paid. You want to keep in mind your how you are taxed. And then the third thing is what you're liable for. So depending on those three answers will help guide you into selecting the right business structure. So I have here just the benefits of those three things for each of the main business structures. And hopefully you'll see how beneficial a LLC is when we finish. So the first business structure that I really want to talk about is a sole proprietorship. Now, of course, this is the default business structure for any one person who wants to go into business, do transactions for money, then they are a sole proprietor by default. And it doesn't take any special documents or any special request on the federal level. So you are just a sole proprietor. And remember, the three things that you want to ask yourself with any business structure is how are you going to be paid? How are you going to be taxed? And what are you liable for? So when you are a sole proprietor, the way you're paid is by taking withdrawals out of your bank account. Now, I just say regular bank account because as a sole proprietor, you are not required to have what's called the EIN, the Employer Identification Number. I do suggest it, I recommend it, it's completely free, you get it from the IRS's website. It'll take you less than 5 minutes to get this, 9-digit number. And that allows you to have a business bank account. But I digress. So the way you get paid when you're a sole proprietor is strictly by taking withdrawals out of either a personal bank account or a business bank account. And when you transfer that money, then you are paying yourself. Another way sole proprietors pay themselves is if your funds are commingled, or even if you have a business bank account, but you make a purchase for something that is not tax deductible, then that's going to be counted towards you getting paid because it's not a business expense. So that's how you're paid as a sole proprietor. Now, the way you're taxed is you are taxed on the individual level. A sole proprietorship in the eyes of the IRS is what's called a pass-through entity. That means the business funds, business taxes pass through the business onto the owner, and you claim those on your individual tax return. So, individual tax return, and then also you have to pay self-employment tax if you are a sole proprietor, if that is your business entity. And then as far as what you're liable for everything. So if you have business debt, or if you have, what's the other thing? If you have business debt, or if you get sued, then you're liable and your personal assets could be at risk. So that is a sole proprietorship. So for someone just starting out, let's say you're in school and you're doing hair in your basement, maybe friends and family, maybe it makes sense for you to be a sole proprietor because you don't have to worry about someone suing you or messing up. I mean, I don't know your friends, I don't know your family, but if they are those type of people that would sue you or try to take you to court or whatever, then maybe you wouldn't want to be a sole proprietor. But I would say that is when it would probably be okay, because of course with a sole proprietorship there is no extra fees for filing, that business structure. That's what you are by default, right? So that is sole proprietorship. Now when we get down to a partnership is very similar to a sole proprietorship actually in the eyes of the IRS. It's just that instead of one person, it's two people. And the way you get paid is all dependent on what's written or what's verbally exchanged between the two or more people who are in business. However you guys decide money is going to be distributed to each other, then that's how you get paid. And how you're taxed, similar again to the sole proprietor. The only difference is that there is a tax form, the 1065, where you would have, it's an informational form that's given to the IRS, and you take that along with when you file your personal taxes. And each partner would get this form to file with their personal taxes, and you're still responsible for your self-employment tax. So that is how you're taxed, very similar to a sole proprietor. Now, when it comes to liability, you're still, liable. You and your partners would carry all the burden if anything were to go wrong. So that's the partnership. Now, when you get down to corporation, I'm talking about a C Corp. Now, the C Corp is that original corporation business entity. And the way you get paid is if you're working in your business, then you would get a salary. You're required to take a salary. And you could also take a dividend, but that dividend is also taxed twice because with a corporation, there's what's called double taxation. Your business is taxed, and I'm getting ahead of myself. So then you have, that's how you're paid. So you take a salary and you could take a dividend. Now, the way you're taxed is you're taxed twice. So remember I talked about how the sole proprietor and the partnership is they are pass-through entities. So the business doesn't pay any tax. The owner or owners pay the taxes individually on their income tax return. But when you have a corporation, the business is actually paying a set amount of taxes, and then you as the owner or owners are paying taxes on an individual level as well. So that's that double taxation. But then you are not liable. So your business is a completely separate entity, and the debt that it assumes, and if anything were to go wrong, your personal assets are protected. So the liability, you don't have to worry about it if you have the corporation. Then you have an S Corp. Now, I put a star next to S Corp because it's a subchapter of the C Corporation. And this is actually fairly new, but this I think started in 1958. So originally it was only like the sole proprietorship and the C Corporation. And the president at the time, Dwight Eisenhower, little history lesson, Dwight Eisenhower caught a lot of flack for favoring big businesses, because people in business, like mom and pop shops, they didn't want to be double taxed, but they also didn't want to be held liable in their business if anything were to go wrong, or if they had business debt, they didn't want to be held liable. So he came under a lot of pressure, and the Treasury Department had come up with like a merging of the two so that you could have an S Corporation. So then you would get the liability protection, but then you'd still only be taxed once. So that's how the S Corporation came about. So how you're paid in an S Corp is you take a salary at that point, you could put yourself on payroll, and then you can get dividends. So you see it's similar to the C Corporation. But then the difference is the way you're taxed is you're still taxed as a pass-through entity. So your business doesn't pay a tax, you pay the tax, and it passes right on through. And then the other good thing about the S Corp is that you don't have to pay self-employment tax, because now you're getting a salary. And then of course the liability we talked about, you don't have that liability because now your business is separate from you. So now we get to the LLC, which is the real question. What are the benefits to having an LLC? And the benefit really comes because of the flexibility that it gives you. Now, if you get an LLC, which is at the state level, at the federal level, the IRS does not even recognize LLCs. LLCs in the eyes of the IRS is just like a sole proprietor. So the default LLC, you get paid exactly how you would as a sole proprietor. So, or if you have multiple members of your LLC, it will be the same way as the partnership. So you would take withdrawals from the business directly, and then that's how you would pay yourself. And then how you're taxed, again, same as you are for a sole proprietor. So you would pay income tax on that on a personal level, and then you would pay the self-employment tax. Now, the flexibility comes in, oh, wait a minute, and then you're not liable for, business debts, or if you're sued, your personal assets may be protected. So the question was, what are the benefits of having this LLC? Well, aside from just knowing that you're in business and you took the step to protect yourself and to formalize things, I think that's huge, right? But another thing is that it offers you this flexibility where now you can say to yourself, hey, you know what? Instead of getting withdrawals every couple of, every week or whatever, however frequently you pay yourself, putting yourself on payroll makes you look more established as a business owner. Because I know when I had my hair salon, I didn't do this, and because I didn't know this stuff, but I should have been an S Corp. But I didn't know, but it gives you that flexibility. I had an LLC, and that flexibility would have allowed me to put myself on payroll, and then when I was going to buy my house, I could have been a stronger candidate. I did not get qualified for my house the first time I went because I was self-employed. I had an LLC, but when you are a sole proprietor, they just make you jump through the ringer. And I talked about this before, but I wasn't doing all that I should have been doing when it came to taxes, but we're not going to talk about that. And the next thing, another benefit is that you have flexibility in how you're taxed. So again, when you start now, maybe this isn't as necessary for you, but as you are making more money, of course you want to be able to keep more of that money. And then you can make that election to be taxed as an S corporation. I really don't see benefits of C Corp for the people that I work with, which are hair professionals, so I don't say that. But if you're taxed as an S Corp, then again, you're able to skip out on that self-employment tax. So that's a huge benefit right there. I mean, we just talked about two, so there's a third one. So the first benefit is that you can put yourself on salary. You get a W-2 at the end of the year. You're looking more like an established business, and anyone that you are working with to get funding or a loan, they're not looking at you funny because they are thinking you just work for company X, Y, and Z. They don't have to know that it's your company. So then you look like anybody else. You're not, employed by yourself. And then the second benefit that I just talked about was, that flexibility in how you're taxed once you make more money. Now, one thing to note here is that you may not see this benefit if you're not at that point yet. So I don't recommend all LLC members go out and get this election and ask the IRS to be taxed as an S corp, because when you make that election, you do have other expenses at that point. So now you're talking about getting accounting software, you're getting a payroll service, you are possibly looking at getting an accountant or a bookkeeper to work with on a quarterly basis. You're talking about additional payments to the IRS now. So it's a lot involved and they have cost. So again, you want to do a price comparison to see if it makes sense for you at that point. The third benefit, because I said it was three, so the third benefit really is that now you don't have that liability, because as a sole proprietor, you are liable for everything. So whether or not you make an election, this part is not the flexible part. Like, this is, you don't have that liability. So as you can see, if you are currently a sole proprietor, getting an LLC doesn't do much, or, at a default level. The only thing that you are getting immediately is that you're getting that liability protection. You would have to do some extra steps for the other two benefits, but just starting out, if you're thinking, what is the main benefit, it would be that liability, number one. And then as you grow, you just have the flexibility to get the other two benefits. So I'm keeping it real. Those are the three benefits. But again, only really one when you're just starting out and you don't do anything special with that LLC. So I hope this helps. For those of you who are sole proprietors and you're thinking, if I should, make the investment at the state level, there is a fee typically at the state level, and I will say that most states require you to renew that LLC, I believe, on an annual basis. I'm not sure the fee for all states. I know where I am, it's about $300 per year. So it is an added expense, but it is tax deductible. So you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, it is an extra cost. But if you want that protection, I would say that's your best bet. And then as you grow and need the other two, it's an option for you. So those are the benefits. And as always, for your particular situation, always talk to a licensed professional, whether that's a tax professional or a lawyer, for specific recommendations for you. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. But if you've enjoyed this video, I ask that you rate it, subscribe to the channel. And if you want more information on my business courses or my accounting services, head over to moneysavvyceo.com, or you can find me on IG at themoneysavvyceo. And
Okay, that was packful. We go on break, we come back, and we will continue. The day is running.